Freeland's new federal budget hikes taxes on the rich to cover billions in new spending. This is the Great White North Report. So early last week, Chrystia Freeland released her fourth budget for the 2024-2025 year. Now, it was 2 weeks late, and the Liberals had already been letting a lot of it slip. And I believe that's because they're on the campaign trail. They're looking towards the next election, and that's why they're making all these promises in spending. They're trying to say, hey, we're going to spend all this money, but you got to keep us in power. And the NDP are going to fall in line with this because Poilievre was right. I looked it up. Jagmeet Singh does not get a pension, does not get a federal pension until after January 1st. You have to serve so long in the House of Commons in order to qualify for a pension. So Jagmeet Singh's going to keep the government, going to keep the Liberals in power until he gets his pension. He's not going to step down. He's not going to do anything. He's going to get that pension. He's not going to risk it by going to an early election. And because he is supporting the Liberals, he has gotten enough of what they want, which is costing us a ton of money. But I also think that the NDP have tied themselves too much to the Liberals, that in the minds of many Canadians, a vote for the NDP is a vote for the Liberals, and a vote for all these inflationary things we've had. So what does she do? Interest rates are running high. Cost of service of the national debt surpasses federal healthcare spending. What do they do? Spend more money. So what do we got? We got high fuel prices, high inflation on food and other stuff, and high housing prices, as well as a shortage. And they want to spend more money and put us more in debt? And they're nuts. Ever since Trudeau got elected, they've been running deficit. Now, I understood during the pandemic you kind of had to because we didn't really know anything than what we had. So I understood that. But we are currently sitting at $1.4 trillion in debt. That's our Canadian national debt. It is about 125% of our GDP. So whatever Canada makes in a year, we have to tack on a 25% more. That's how much debt we have. You know, I remember a time when Mulroney introduced the GST, which was supposed to pay off our federal debt and get us more balanced. Then Chrétien took over, saw what a cash cow that was, and decided to use all that extra money to make all these other programs. The funny thing is, I got along just fine without all these extra programs. So why do we need them? You're making Canadians into a bunch of pansies. They can't do anything by themselves. They need the government to help them, and that's not good. We should not be looking to the government to help us because the government is so inefficient in itself. Why would I ask them for help? It breeds inefficiency. It breeds bureaucracy. So now the bureaucracy of Canada is going to go up. Those who they go to, consultants. The consultants are going to make a killing out of this. So they want to put $52.9 billion more than planned over the next 5 years. So they're planning they're going to win the election, or the minority anyway, and they'll continue running. They're going to post a $40 billion deficit this fiscal year. Wasn't it last fall they were slashing money all over the place? Trying to find ways to cut money because they overspent and they had no more money? Now with the new tax season just about over, they can do that. They can spend money again. $6 billion Canadian disability benefit, $1 billion national school food program, and $500 million fund for youth mental health. I tell you, our youth today are just a bunch of cream puffs compared to what they were in my generation, my father's generation, definitely my grandfather's generation. Anyone who survived World War I, the Great Depression, and World War II will tell you, kids today are a bunch of pansies. No coping skills. And it's true, kids today don't have coping skills like they did. Not all kids, obviously, but a vast majority. No coping skills, brainwashed, can't live without TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. $1 billion national school food program. No, that's a waste of money. What schools get this program? Does a rich school get this school food program? One of the wealthier schools? Or is it all for the inner city schools? Or is it for the country schools? Like $1 billion for a year, it doesn't really go that far when you think about it, considering how many schools there are. Is it public school, or does it include high school? And I'll tell you, schools aren't known for making the best choices when it comes to meal plans. It's called parenting too. Parents should make better choices with what they do. I know a lot of parents who don't really care what they give their kids for lunch for school. Or they let their kids choose. And of course, the kids aren't going to choose the healthiest stuff. No, they won't make a sandwich. Heaven forbid if a kid had to get up off their ass and make a lunch for themselves. My kids, they get snacks and they get a fruit or a veggie, and then they also get a main thing. Usually it's leftovers from the night before. So we've been any extra food around. So I think the 1 billion National School Food Program is pretty dumb. They don't mention foreign aid at all. Foreign aid is expected to go up from 6.4 billion to 6.8 billion this year. So we're sending more money. Well, hey, first of all, would never resume funding to UNRWA. UNRWA can go to hell. I'd disband that in a heartbeat, given the choice. And no more foreign aid to any Gaza or West Bank, or I'd cut funding from so many countries that just don't deserve our foreign aid. 6 billion Canadian disability benefit. I can see disability benefits being a thing if it's serious disability. Now, some people take advantage of that and claim they have a disability. My workplace, we got a lot of people who are, again, soft. They see clowns coming out of the drain. They all float down here. So they take 6 months off. Don't see them for 6 months, and they show up. And they get paid just the same as I do. Like, what the hell? I do more work, and I'm there every day, and they get off. Well, I don't feel good. So there is that mental health disability thing that some people rook the system big time. And something you spend less on, you'll find fewer people are rooking the system. So the government will spend more on servicing its debt than on healthcare this year. And the cost of growing national debt has increased substantially. It's now about $2 billion more than it was projected to be just a few months ago. So spending money is a good way, yeah? So they're going to get new revenue out of the excise taxes on cigarettes and vaping products. So the sin tax, they call it. I'm surprised they didn't do it to alcohol. What's going to happen when you raise the taxes on cigarettes and vaping supplies? Just like the carbon tax with fuel prices. What do you think people do in my area? They run to the nearest reservation. They go to Oneida or the Mohawk reservation, depending which is closer. That's where a lot of people buy their cigarettes now. Or they get gas there. If it wasn't so far away, I get gas there. Organized crime will get involved even more. Be a good money to make if you can get cigarettes on the cheap and sell them. So why would we do that? As much as I hate smoking and vaping myself on a personal level, raising taxes on it is not going to be helpful if people live near reservations which don't pay taxes on this stuff. We are making Canada's tax system more fair by ensuring that the very wealthiest pay their fair share. Yeah, but you're raising the excise taxes on people who usually aren't the wealthiest, who can't get by without cigarettes. I see too many of those. And you're taxing them. They want to build a good middle-class life. To do as your parents and grandparents are better. No, we're not. Our quality of life has slipped since the Liberals took over. Things are so expensive nowadays. It's getting more expensive for me to drive to work. You know, I only get increases for my wages once a year. I don't... Gas prices go up and down. Mostly they've been going up ever since the carbon pricing, which is a crock in itself. They pledged $9 billion in new money for Indigenous community. Hey. So all these things they've added, and they're adding so much debt. They added other things for the housing. Billions more for housing. $8.5 billion for more housing. Now they're going to open up Canada Post properties. I guess Canada Post has a lot of property to shed. And make that into new apartments or houses, whichever it is. Now where I live, there are hundreds of houses going up, regardless of what they spend, what they say they're going to give for housing. So much of it is. So much farmland has been ripped up, which is environmentally not friendly. You rip up the farmland, which means less food we're able to produce less food in that sense. You're putting houses on it, so you're destroying the habitat of all the animals. So you're also destroying woodlands and wetlands. So much for environmentally friendly. Also to build houses is also to cut down more trees, make more metals and plastics to put in these houses, and the heavy machinery it takes to do that, so more fuel. They want to use up underused public lands. That's already happening in my area. Vacant lots are now sold off and they're building houses or apartments on them. There's a big apartment complex going in nearby. Also, they want to use old national defense properties for housing. Well, there's one in London off Highbury. across the bridge. There used to be an army base there. They've torn down the all the base structures, and they're gonna build high-rise apartments there. It's gonna be a huge one. It goes all the way over to where the lawn bowling place was on, is it Oxford or Dundas? I can't remember. So we already are building without this. The problem is you brought in 2.5 million immigrants over a 5-year period, as well as all the international students and all the migrant workers. Most of these people are going to the big cities. These people aren't going out to the east coast of Newfoundland, where there's empty houses. They're not going out to Saskatchewan, where there's ghost towns, or Northern Ontario ghost towns. They're going into the cities, and that's where they need to build. So instead of expanding outwards, we should be going upwards. We should be building more high-rise apartments. Everyone wants a house, but a high-rise makes more sense. Housing crisis. On my way to work, I passed 5 abandoned houses. And I can think of 4 more within a 5-kilometer radius from me. Why are they abandoned? Because they're in industrial zones now. They used to be in farmland, rural areas, but now urban sprawl has crept up to them, and now they're in an industrial zone. They'll probably be torn down in some god-awful, ugly warehouse or one of those blocks of business things can go into. Trucking firm, whatever. And it's sad. One of them is actually very nice looking. Also, the new EV battery plant they're building out by St. Thomas, which is not far from me. They have taken a concession road and a concession block and a half of arable farmland, which had houses on it. 10 houses got bulldozed, and there's probably 3 or 4 more that are about to be bulldozed. We'll wait and see. Lots of woodland have been cut down. And again, wetlands are lost. Animals of the habitat are now being forced out. And once they take the topsoil off, there goes the agricultural land. Why they didn't push them towards the old Ford plant at Talbotville? Yes, Amazon has built a pretty big place there, but there is a lot of real estate behind it. So do we need to spend money on housing? No. Just cut the red tape on some of the building projects and make it sure it goes higher. Also, encourage people to move to places that are pretty much empty. But of course, infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure like we used to. The rail networks are not like they used to be. So the housing shortage is a problem in big cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, places like that, Halifax. You go outside a little more, it's not so bad. But who wants to live out there? So they want to build homes more faster. We are making life cost less. Well, first of all, the immigration policy created this mess. You have to scrap your immigration policy. They're supposed to be banning international students or making them less and less attractive. So we'll see what happens there. And migrant workers. Get people off their ass here and get them working. So what they're going to do is they're going to have a capital gains tax to help pay for all this stuff. It's not going to cover it all. And it's not going to affect Trudeau and his elitist buddies who have their tax havens down in the Bahamas or in Switzerland. And it's going to hurt productivity and innovation. The wealthy whatever% of Canadians who have lots of money are not going to want to invest in Canada because they'll get dinged even more. The capital gains tax will go up from 50% to 66%. Or if you make $1 million, the first $250,000 are not taxed. Though there might be some other little hidden taxes like income tax on top of that. But then anything after that, so the remaining 750%, 66% of that will be taxed. And you're going to lose money. I think someone said if you make $10 million, you're going to get taxed $3 million. You're going to lose about $3 million in taxes. What's the point? Everyone wants to get rich at one point in their life. But no one wants to pay the taxes for it. They're going to hide their money. Or they're going to invest somewhere else. Why would someone invest in Canada when they can go invest in somewhere where there's no taxes, like Texas? Why would they do that? If Amazon knew it was going to get taxed this much, they would never have set up shop here in Canada. Because they're going to get taxed this now. They might pull out, but they would have to pay a penalty for it. The EV plant would probably get a tax break by coming here. It's probably in their agreement. But who wants to start a company here now? A lot of wealthy people in Canada. I know the guy in St. Thomas, which is like a 20-minute drive from me. Not far. There's a guy in St. Thomas who donated money to build a brand new park with nice sports facilities in his name, in the name of his company. That's what he did. If he was taxed more, he would probably not give that money away. Of course, it's probably a tax write-off anyway he was doing. But if he knows he's going to get dinged even more, he's not going to be willing to donate more. A lot of these rich people, they donate to schools, hospitals, libraries, parks, arenas, whatnot. Now they're going to be less likely to do so. If anything, they should have spent less money on these useless programs that don't. I won't even use any of these programs. That's the killer. Also, if you have a house, if you have more than one property as an investment, you got to pay this capital gains tax on any profit after $250,000. So, like a cottage, because the price of houses and cottages has gone skyrocketing. If you had a house for 10 years, bought it 10 years ago and sell it now, you're going to pay more money in taxes on the sell-off. So this budget is very bad news, I think. I agree with most of the financial experts on this that it's not good for Canada, and it's going to make us even less. I tend to think that the Liberals and the NDP don't want you to make money. They don't want Canadians to make lots of money. They want us to be poor to lower middle class. That way we have to look up to them, to the government, to fix all our problems. That's not the way it should be. He who governs best governs least. I don't want government interference in everyday part of my life. I don't want them to take out so much taxes. All I want them to do is defend the country, fix the goddamn roads and bridges, like infrastructure, make sound economic decisions, try and protect the environment as much as possible without taxing everyone to do it. Because when you bring 2.5 million people, you're not protecting any environment. You're destroying more environment than you're protecting. You're creating more carbon gases than you're supposedly reducing. It's a big sham. Also, one thing I hate about the EV batteries things, what's going to happen when we have 1 million battery electric cars running around in Ontario alone? Is our power infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, ready to handle that? Good question. Will we be facing brownouts? So I'm on the fence on the whole EV battery car system. So like I said, I'm not in favor of this new budget. I think the Liberals brought it out just so they can get votes from people who are too dumb to see through it. And most of these programs are more geared towards the fringe groups and the inner cities. Most of these programs won't even affect me in any shape or form. But any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of the new budget. Is it a dumpster fire? Is it going to help Canada, or is it going to make us worse? Leave comments in the comment section. Until next time, this has been the Grey White North Report.